Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Zoom. Unfortunately, Melissa was unable to join us tonight. She'll be getting on an airplane. She wanted to be here, but she will be flying back home, so she wasn't able to be here. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about fairs and events and getting your name out there. But before we do, Cassie, do you want to go over some news that's out there? Let me. As I'm looking.
Sorry. So there wasn't any major new news articles this week, but I just wanted to draw attention, like at the top of the news section, there's the consultant planning ahead September guide. So there's a couple things coming up, which we'll find out more information this Thursday. Consultant early access for the holiday bricks is coming on September 25th. So that's Monday. And Bring Back My Washer Whiffs are coming back September 25th as well. So we'll those news articles will come out on Thursday. And then definitely just a reminder to keep an eye out on the product status list. You'll find that at the dashboard when you first log into your workstation to update, because we do have a variety of different things that are on back order right now, and you can keep watch to see when things are coming back in stock there. So, but definitely more news articles will come out most likely on Thursday this week after 11 a.m. Eastern time. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So we'll jump into training. So again, tonight's topic, when Melissa and I were talking, we talked about fairs and events. One, because I just came off of doing a 10-day event out of state. And so she wanted me to share some of the tips with that. But it's also a topic that a lot of people are interested in the aspect of they want to start events, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know the pros and cons of it, etc. And so that's what we'll be talking about tonight. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Tammy Frazier. You'll see in the background my husband Shane, and the reason why I have him here tonight is he is a crucial part of my business. We do it together, and to the point that he can run events without me. He's not just the person that's carrying the boxes to events. He knows how to sell it, and so he has been a big part of my business since I started. And so the reason why we actually got into events was, for those that don't know, I was active duty Air Force for 27 years. And so a large part of my military career, I was a Scentsy consultant. And in the military, unlike a lot of other jobs, you're technically not supposed to share those type of opportunities with others, because it may be viewed as using your rank to influence them to buy a product. And so I needed to find a way to expand my customer base, because I couldn't start in my office for the most part. And so in addition to us moving every few years, it was a way for us to build that customer base quickly when we moved from state to state. And so that's how we got started in doing fairs and events. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that with you. So I'm going to try and share my screen here with you guys. Robin, if you can give me a thumbs up, if you can kind of see that. Yep. Okay. So some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight are why fairs and events, like what are the pros of them? What are the cons of them? Where do I find these events? And when I do find them, what do I need? And how do I set up that event when I do get an event? And a few tips and tricks that we've learned along the way. We have a great group of directors and others that have also done events, and so they'll be sharing some things that they've learned along the way, because I think training is much better when you get different perspectives. So why fairs and events? The cons. So a lot of people think that they look at an event, especially when they see a big event at a fair, and they go, oh my goodness, look at that. They must be so successful. The con of an event is they can be costly. They can be costly because there's a booth fee that usually goes with it, all of the setup that goes with it, the supplies, the products that you have to buy if you're going to do cash and carry at the event. And when I say they can be costly, if I go to a home party, everything that I sell there is basically commission. I really don't start making commission until I make some of those back, such as my booth fee, etc. And so depending on the event, you go in with a risk of no return on your investment. Because you don't know. I mean, you can plan so much, but you're not responsible for planning the event or for people to show up to the event. And so there's no guarantee that the event is going to be a good one. They're also very time consuming. I mean, you're there early in the morning to set up, and sometimes you're late at night. And so again, home party, if we're talking home parties, can be a lot quicker than that. Sorry, our daughter's trying to call both of us at the same time. Can be very time consuming, as I was saying. And so I know if you go to a home party, you can get in and out pretty quickly, probably with some orders in hand. As we talked about before, depending on the size of the event, it can require a lot of product. And if it's an outside event, it can actually have a risk of you losing some of that product, which has happened to me a couple times, windstorms, rain, you name it. It's one of the things that is a con and a potential risk for doing events. But the pros you have to weigh is it's a way to get exposure to more people. And exposure to more people means more ways to recruit, more ways to get sales, more ways to book parties. And so you have to weigh of what your intent is and what you're looking to do. So where do I find them? A lot of people are like, I can't find events. Everywhere I ask, they already have a Scentsy consultant. So these are some of the places that I've been successful in finding events. Craigslist, Facebook groups, by simply going into Facebook and type in your city or area and say craft shows, vendor events, etc. A lot of times there's Facebook groups that are established for that, where people advertise for those events or looking for vendors. Simply by Googling vendor craft shows 2023, because it will use your location and will pull up a list of events where then you can reach out to those vendor coordinators to see if they have a Scentsy consultant. The Chamber of Commerce also in the local areas usually has not only events, but they have business networking events where you can actually get your name out with other businesses. And if you get in good with the chamber and the local businesses, if somebody's looking for a Scentsy consultant, they're more likely to recommend you as a Scentsy consultant that they will go to. Many local towns have pages or website that you can go to. So you can, all around me, you could type Yellow Springs, Ohio, and on that page, it will say upcoming events, Dayton, Ohio, upcoming events. And when you see those vendor events, again, you just go in and reply to the message or inquire with the vendor sponsor and ask if they have a consultant currently at that event. Or simply word of mouth. Talking to your other friends who are in the direct sales or crafters, ask them if they actually have other events that may not have a Scentsy consultant at. Because they will be your not only word of mouth as far as the vendor events go, but the good ones. They will tell you which ones haven't been worth anything and the ones that have actually been well run. And so sharing or asking other vendors that do crafts or direct sales is a great way to actually get that out. There's also a couple paid searches that I've actually used. And some of these you can get information without paying, enough information to then go and find something else. So for example, festival.net is one. And it is a paid search, but if you don't pay for it, it will give you enough information of vendor events that are in the area. So then you can actually go and Google to see if they actually have a website, or you can go to Facebook to find more information on that. So you don't necessarily have to pay for it. If you do pay for it, it's a minimal fee for the year. But without paying for it, you should be able to find events that are in the area and then do a little bit more research on, you know, what's out there, what the cost is, etc. So that's one of them that I like. Let's see here. I lost the other one that we like a lot is Craft Masters. Craft Masters is another one that's a paid one. And it actually, you know, has anything from state fairs, home and garden shows, farmers markets, music festivals, car shows, any of those things. And sometimes even if they're not actually asking for vendors at the event, you can inquire and ask if Scentsy would be a fit for them. Because I've done that before, and although they might not have a full array of different crafters or direct sales, if you inquire about it, they may be willing to allow you to set up at that event. And so that's another way that you can actually, you know, events or find events. Just be careful. The compliance guide will tell you that for events that are at retail locations, you can only use a promotional display. And a promotional display means you're not doing cash and carry. You're displaying no more than one of each item at each cost point for them. You can take orders though. And so just know that to be in compliance in a retail location, it's only a promotional display. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Yeah, I do actually. What would a retail location be out, like if we're talking about like events, like festivals and things?
Yeah, so sometimes the mall will say, hey, we're going to do a holiday vendor event in the mall where they set up other vendors like in the big space. They I don't even know what they call them in a mall, but the wide hallways, etc. That might be a place. A hair salon may say, hey, we're going to do an event in our hair salon. Hey, we're going to do an event, you know, at whatever, like a bar, a store, etc. Those type of things. That's where the rules are. If it's a retail environment where people go to purchase things, that is considered a retail environment, and therefore it is only a promotional display. Does that answer your question, Heidi?
It does. And one other thing, since you mentioned salons, the salon where I go actually does that on a regular basis. Like one of the girls sells jewelry, one of the girls sells clothing, that kind of thing. So if they were to allow me to set up a permanent table, how would I go about, if I couldn't do cash and carry, I just have a display there and then like maybe leave like my QR code where people can contact me to order things?
Well, permanent displays, I'd have to go back and help me, directors. Permanent displays are not allowed. It's temporary events in a retail. You can do a promotional display, but you couldn't have your stuff there all the time. Now you can put a raffle, you know, your business cards up, and you can basically say enter, you know, like put a raffle that basically says I'm giving away something, or that asks if they're interested in, you know, holding a party or fundraisers or those type of things. But having a full display permanently, which means more than 30 days, is something that's frowned upon.
Okay, thank you. Good to know.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything to add to that?
I was just going to say another thing you could do to gain a little more attention, perhaps, with your business card or your QR code, is to do like a warmer with wax that maybe you change out periodically, or like a fragrance flower or something on the counter or table, to draw a little bit of attention in that situation.
Absolutely, good idea.
Okay, that's kind of what I was talking about. Like if I leave like a, you know, and actually a couple of the girls purchased from me, so they already have some of the warmers, so I could put like my QR code near those, or okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes. Yep. Any other questions? Yeah.
Okay, so you said you can only have like one thing up. So let's say you have the Nova warmer up and you sell it. can at that time you take another one out of the trunk of your car or wherever and put it out?
No, you cannot sell it cash and carry. Your display cannot be sold.
Oh, okay, okay,
You can
okay.
you can only do orders there. So you can have one from each price point. You can have a $50 warmer, a a $40, $45 warmer. You can have, a bar of wax. You can have a mini fan, etc. But the purpose is to show the products, but you can't sell any of those products. You can only take orders at the event.
At all events?
No, this is only those in a retail environment.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's a retail environment only. All others that are considered temporary booths outside of that are not in a retail environment, you can have as much cash and carry as you want.
Thank
So
you.
basically, you're saying that if we're in a retail environment, the best way to look at it as actually basically hosting a party instead of actually trying to sell product or display like we would at a fair or a vendor show.
Right, Joss, you're using that that product display to show them all of the different type of products that we have. You can show them the catalog. They can take orders for that, or your goal there is to, get orders, talk to them about the business opportunity or parties, etc. So hopefully that clarifies that. Jen, do you have anything to add?
Hey, Rob, Tammy, real quick. What I would like to add to that is if you think of it as a business card, but it's like a live action business card. So you're showing the product that people can order from you. So it's an example. So that's how you get your exposure. So it's not that you're selling in a brick and mortar. It's like a live action business card.
Yeah, exactly. Great example, Jackie. I don't think I have anything here. So just to show you, this is a couple of the different things. So on that festival net that we talked about, you can actually bring it down to state and Google it. And then, like I said, if you're not going to pay for it to get all of the information, when you can at least find the name of the event and then try and search and find it through other avenues, Facebook pages, websites, etc. When you do pay for this, what Festival Net and both Craft Masters do provide is it will tell you the other entertainment that goes along with it, what's happening at the event, what their average show attendance is, etc. POCs with phone numbers and websites. So that's all in there. And so that's the benefit of paying for either one of those search engines. And you can do it by country. So if you're looking to expand your business outside of your local area, you can do that by using these functions to find something on a bigger scale.
The dividing line at like the Mississippi or something. So I don't know if they're still that way. I haven't used it in a while, but you used to buy a subscription to like half the United States or something at the time.
Yeah. So, and then this one here is just to show, Craigslist. And a lot of people don't even think about Craigslist anymore. Not many people actually, actually use that. But if you go into Craigslist and do events, and then in the search function, type vendor events, this was just an example of my area. There's a reptile show. I'm not sure in that this would be the great place for Scentsy, but these are just some things that come up. This one's looking for a craft vendor, craft and vendor show, fall equinox craft show, an indoor gun show. I know a lot of Scentsy consultants who do gun shows because, they go with their spouses. Their spouses are interested in purchasing the gun. They have something that they can shop. And maybe even a little guilt that goes into it when the husband purchases a gun, doesn't feel so guilty when she purchases a warmer and wax or whatever for the home. But this is just to show you how Craigslist and how you can find events on Craigslist. This is also down here an example of my local Chamber of Commerce. If you look to the far right where it says events, if you click on that, it will actually show events in the local area as well as business opportunities. And like I said, sometimes getting your name out there, attending a Chamber of Commerce business gathering goes a long way for your business, because if you're active in the chamber and somebody's looking for a Scentsy consultant, they're likely to mention you if something comes to the chamber. If they're going to do, if their business is going to do something, or they know of things going on in the area, they're going to reach out to you. So if you haven't been engaged with the chamber is a great way to get your business out there and to also help you find events.
We ran into, I don't remember where it was, we were living at the time too, but in order to do some of the city events, you had to be a chamber member. It wasn't super expensive to be
Oh, that was Vegas, I think.
part of the chamber, but if you were a chamber member, then you could do the city sponsored events.
I think it was less than $50, but that's going to range, vary from city to city, but it's a small fee, which is also a tax write-off, to get your name in there for some of these vendor events. So you find the event. What do I need? So these aren't listed in any particular order. So don't think, number one is the most important. It's just some of the things that we were thinking about. So one, when you find that vendor event, you need to find out, is a table included with your booth? Because sometimes a table is included. If it's not included, you need to make sure that you have tables or enough tables for the event space that you actually have. You need to know if your event space is at a 10 by 10, an 8 by 10, you name it. You need to figure that out. Tablecloths. And a lot of events will require tablecloths to the ground because it provides a better presentation. So if you put things under the table, those aren't visible, and it just makes a nice, cleaner display. If you're doing an outdoor event, you want to invest in our opinion, a good canopy or tent. We've been at too many events where we have watched people's tents get destroyed, like literally the wind turned them into a pretzel. And so you can get cheap tents, or you can pay for a little bit more expensive one. That ranges about, we've paid.
I think the last one we bought was between $200 and $250 at Sam's or Costco.
And they're the thicker, heavy duty ones. And less likely to get destroyed. The other thing that I would recommend when you're buying a tent is to make sure that it's the tent poles that go straight up and down. Some of them will go out like this. And so if you're only renting a 10 by 10 booth, if your legs extend past the 10 by 10, they will sometimes not allow you to set up once you get to the event. So make sure that your tent has the poles that go straight up and down and not extend.
Not all tents.
And not all, that's right, not all tents come with sides, so it's a good investment to get sides, because if that wind does come while you're at the event, protecting some of your sides will go a long way to protecting our very breakable products. Trust us. You will want those sides. Extension cords and power strips for events that have electric, if you're going to show any of those items and how they actually work. You also want to have bags. A lot of times it seems simple, but it's something that a lot of people don't think about. If you're doing cash and carry, you need to have a way for them to walk away with that product. And so you want to either buy the sacks on Scentsy or something that you can get on Amazon. But you can find bulk ones at a pretty cheap price. We have gone to more of a paper sack with that we actually, just so I can show you, that we put our logo on and we stamp them with our information on the outside. Why do we do that? One, because Tammy and Shane are too cheap to actually get them pre-printed like this. So, because that costs, 30, 50 cents extra a bag, and we don't have that money. So we bought a big stamp and we stamp them ourselves. We just get these paper bags off of Amazon in bulk. And so we have 3 different sizes that will fit just for the bars, a warmer and a few bars, or one that fits a couple different warmers in it. And so you definitely want to have bags for your product. You want to have a payment processing tool, and this varies on how you want to do it. Square, Venmo, PayPal, there's Cash App, there's a lot of other things out there. But Apple Pay, you definitely want to have one of those to be able to take credit card, because so many people don't carry cash. You also do want to have a cash bag with some change for those people that do have the cash. If you're not doing cash and carry and you don't have items for them to smell, testers. At a minimum, you want to have your testers so they can smell the product. Because if they are going to, whether it's at a retail environment, whether it's at a temporary booth, you want them to be able to to smell. That's how we sell our product. And so testers are a great thing. It's also a great way to show them what they would get if they joined, as well as what you could provide them if they were to do a basket party. You want to have the catalogs and order forms. You want to have a raffle form or a way to gather their info. So it could be something as simple as a spreadsheet that asks for their name and a way to contact them. This was more important when they could actually where we could enter their information into our contacts for our newsletter. But now that they changed that, another thing would be if you have availability of electric and Wi-Fi, if you had an iPad or a way for them to sign up directly for that newsletter on your page, would be a great way. You want to gather that information. You want them to start seeing your information that you send out. You want to bring any product you have to display or sell, whether it's a small amount or a large amount. I will tell you, when we first started one of our first events, we basically used our kit. That's what we had. And we sat and we took orders. And I'll tell you, there will be some people, until you get your name out there, that may be leery of ordering with somebody, because you'll find that there's some customers who may have been burned by ordering and not receiving product. But as you develop a relationship and a reputation in the community, they're more likely to be willing just to place an order with you. You definitely want to have business cards. And so whether you create them on your own and have them ordered through Office Depot or Vista Print, you want them to have something to walk away with. And if catalogs are too expensive, or product sheets, or showcase brochures are not in the budget, a business card is something that you should have. One of the things that I wanted to add here that a lot of people may not be aware of is a UBI number. Some of the bigger events require a UBI number. And basically, when it comes to us, a lot of people are like, well, I don't have my own UBI number. You don't need your own UBI number. What you need is you need to call Scentsy, and Scentsy has a UBI number for every state that we operate in. And you just call before the event and ask Scentsy for the UBI number for the state that you are doing an event in, and they will provide it to you. And that's the great, one of the great parts of being an independent consultant under Scentsy is they cover that for you. You do not have to have your own individual UBI number. Scentsy will get that for you for every state. So it's a good idea. If you know you are going to do or be looking for events in surrounding areas, to call Scentsy and ask for the UBI numbers for the surrounding states or the areas that you may do events in case you need that. Does anybody have any questions? Anything you want to add, Shane?
So we did say catalogs. I mean, catalogs are pricey. The showcase brochures, the tear off sheets, they work just as well while you're getting established. They just need a way to see their options. And I actually, when I am doing events by myself, I like the showcase brochure because now the catalog has so many Instagram photos and other things in it. I can't find things other than in the back in the small pullout. I mean, the pullout is nice just in the sense that everything is priced. So you can go look at the $50 warmers or whatever, but I actually kind of prefer, plus I'm older and my eyesight's going, so I can read the showcase brochure a whole lot better. So I use those. And business cards, think about your branding. Like we have Wax Force. I know Robin has, what's hers? So the goat stuff. So think about your branding, because that's also something that people remember you by. So if you're setting up your business cards and those sorts of things, just think about something that's unique potentially to you that you have to offer that maybe makes you stand out and makes them remember you.
Oh, and a picture. If you can, I know a lot of us have hangups of putting pictures of ourselves on there, but I can tell you this. I I might not remember names of people that I'm introduced to, but I definitely remember faces. And that goes the same way with our customers. So if there's a picture, they're more likely to connect with you. Does anybody else have anything to add or questions?
Can you explain what was the branding thing? Just because I'd like to try and figure out what ours possibly could be.
So the way that we came, Heidi, the way that we came with our branding is what you'd like to do is ask a couple people outside of Scentsy, when you think of me, what comes to mind? And the thing that kept continuously coming up is that both Shane and I are Air Force veterans. And so they always associated us being Air Force veterans. And so that's where our logo came from. If you're familiar with the Air Force logo, the wings are the Air Force logo and then the silhouette of a wax bar. And so instead of, it's kind of a tie on Air Force and Wax Force. And so it's something that they're going to remember you by. Like I said, Robin has the goat, so she's the greatest of all, greatest of teams. Help me out, Robin.
Goal-oriented, amazing team.
Yes, goal-oriented, amazing team. Standing for goat. Why? Because she's a goat farmer. And so when people know Robin and they come up, they're like, oh, you're the goat farmer. Yep. And so her branding's tied to that. I know Amber Knoll has, what was her splash?
Scent
Amber Piron.
Splash.
Huh?
I think
Splash.
she's the Scent Splash.
Yeah, because she was a swim instructor. And so it's so, Heidi, basically something when people think of you, what comes to mind? If you can tie something like that, it may just be simply your name. If you're branding, you know, that's one of the most unique things that you have is your name. And so if you can tie your name to it, that's a brand too.
It doesn't have to be like an actual logo or something like that. Like, although I wish I had one, I'm just not that creative. But it could be like a color palette that is just completely the same amongst all of your things, or a font that you always use, or a specific picture of yourself that you put on everything. Like, just keep it consistent to you and true to you. And that can be your branding as well.
Yeah. Does that help you, Heidi? We would be more than happy sometime after on a cubicle or sometime to help you come up with things, you know, of your branding, you know, or work through it.
That would be great. Thanks.
Yeah. So event setup. So how do you set up the booth? One, you need to know what size you have or what that's going to look like. You know, so it may require calling the event coordinator to ask what that space is like, what the size is, etc. Will you have electric? Are you on an end aisle? Are you in the middle of an aisle? Is there space in between your booth and the next booth? All of those things. Get as much information about the area that you're going to be setting up in as possible. And one of the things that you may want to try as you start doing these is do a mock setup. A mock setup in your area. And Robin's laughing because I'm sure she's thought through this. I've done it. I draw it out on a piece of paper. When we were early on, we set up the tables in the basement to figure out how that was going to work. How was that going to be? Was it going to be appealing to people? You know, because the worst thing that, you know, you only have so much time to set up and you don't want to try and sort through that when you get there. So you want to have a plan. Shane and I always talk about that. And we're always redefining and trying to figure out what the best way to optimize it was. So for example, we do an event in Spokane, Washington, and we thought we had a great setup, an absolutely great setup. And we basically, at the back of our booth, we had a grid wall where all of the bars were, and it looked beautiful and it was great. And it was probably great for many people, but we started looking at it and saying, when we get a couple people bellied up to the bar, the scent bar, there's not many other people that can get there. And while they're waiting, do they get impatient and leave? And so the answer was, we think so. Because the next year we tried taking that away and creating a kind of a square rectangle in the center of the booth that if one person was on one side, others could be on the other 3 sides. And so they could rotate around it, and we were able to get many more people up there looking at it.
And we have like pods on one side, current catalog, some discontinued, scent circles, scent packs, car bars on like an end. So all kinds of different products.
Yeah.
All the way around.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with, you know, actually physically taking your tables out and figure out how you're going to set that up, how you're going to fit where your bars go, where your warmers go, all of the products that you're bringing. Practice it. It's going to save you some time when you get there. And once you get it established, doesn't mean that you can't change it or redefine it for the next year. Robin, I think you had the same experience or a similar experience, right, at one of your recent events that you kind of changed things up too.
Yeah. I tracked the wax from last year and then tracked the 6-packs I sold this year. And I really went up a lot because I moved the wax forward where people could walk all the way around, and they could, while they were looking, I put the current wax inside the booth. So they actually had to walk inside to get to the new stuff. So because I wanted to draw them in. So yeah, I switched mine up from last year to this year, and it helped a lot.
You know, some people, there's a variance of opinion. Some people think having a closed booth where people just walk up to the edge and you show them things is a better display. We've tried those both over the years. We personally tend to like that when people are able to walk in and see the products and smell things on their own, they're more likely to buy. I know a lot of people do it for a variety of reasons to have it closed off, one being afraid of people walking out with products. And in my opinion, if they're going to walk out with products, they're going to find a way to do it either way, whether it's a closed off booth or an open booth. But I think the open booth provides a much more welcoming environment where they feel that they can come in and truly see the products. And so that's one of the things we just think practicing or drawing it out on a piece of paper before you get there saves a lot of time.
We also maybe like for bigger events where we put like $35 warmers all together and under the stuff we have to put under the table so that you're not fumbling through 40 bags to try to find a, you know, hello spring warmer
that nobody wants when it's fall. Yeah. So one of the things is make it pleasing to the eye. And I have to say, Shane has gotten much better at this over the years. When he would first set up an event, he would just pull the products out and it was all at one level. You want it to be pleasing from when somebody's walking by the booth. And what that means is you need to have height variation so all warmers are able to be visible. If they're all at the same level on the table, there's going to be products behind that they're not going to be able to see. And so make it pleasing to the eye, add some variation. What that also means is you want enough product, but you don't want too much product where it's so crowded that you can't see everything. I'll be honest with you, I do not bring everything that the catalog has to offer. There is just not enough space in a 10 by 10 booth to display that. And so I do not usually bring any of our clean line, our laundry line, our body line. Those are things that I really push Scentsy Club for. Those are things that are personalized to them. I can't always carry all the products that they would want in those, and they take up a lot of space. So when they ask for those, I say we don't carry them here, but it's a great way to add it into your Scentsy Club. And so I would say focus on a few things that are the top sellers for you. And until you don't know that, until you know what is top sellers for you, I would stick with the basics of warmers and wax, and maybe pods and diffuser type thing. But pick a couple, go with those, and then you can readjust as you know what people are asking for. The making it inviting is, you need to let people know, because they'll stand at the booth if they're pausing and they don't know what to do, and you have an open booth. Tell them, come on in. Come on in, look around. Let me know if you have any questions.
Feel free to open up and smell.
Yep, feel free to open up and smell. A lot of people don't do that, but I'm a firm believer that if you can't smell the product, we can't sell it. I don't want to buy something that I can't smell. And so we allow them to open and smell. Signage is a great thing because some people don't want to stop and ask. And what you will find at events is you either are feast or famine. You may have nobody at the inside the booth, but when one person comes, another person comes, and pretty soon the whole booth is full and you can't fully answer all the questions at the same time. So by having proper signage, it may answer some of those questions. And to go to that, we'll cover some of that in the tips and tricks. Your booth can be simple, your booth can be elaborate. And I wanted to show you a real quick a couple minute video from Debbie Pitts Palmer.
Hey, Tammy, there's no video playing.
Sorry guys, could you not see the video? I couldn't see the chat.
No, we could not.
Okay,
Oh,
It
I'm
was just
sorry
the
about that,
picture
guys.
of the booth.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll share the link of her booth. But the point is she was at a business event that was basically there to showcase other businesses. And so it's simply just to say you don't need a lot of product when it comes to doing business, type events. You simply can show one or two items, but I'll share the link in the Together We Sent page. So sorry that didn't actually come through, but just wanted to show that there's a variation of big vendor events versus small ones, and ways that you can actually set those up. So if you can see, can you see this now? Okay. This big event here is, I think it's Stephanie Breimer's event. And so you can see events can be huge, events can be small. It doesn't matter. Do what you have the product for. Don't feel that you need to do something that is outside of your budget, because as Orville always says, you don't use family money on Scentsy, you use Scentsy money on family. And so I don't want you to think that if you get an event that you need to put a lot of money into it, because that's not what this is about. Like we said before, we started with just what we had in the kit and are firm believers that you can actually do that and grow into bigger events by your free and half price items. So here's a couple different events of different sizes that we actually, just wanted to share with you. So some of the tips and tricks for the for events is engage with your customers. We've been at events that, other vendors have said, oh my God, this is a terrible event. And we've done really well. But when we look back at what the other vendors are doing, yeah, it might be a different product that varies, of what the crowd wants. But the one thing that we see that they don't do is engage the customers. You always want to invite them into your booth. You always want to ask them if they have any questions or if there's anything that you can help with.
Stay off your phone.
Yeah, stay off your phone. Absolutely. One of the things that we talked about was prices. When you're getting busy, the signage and things of that nature, we actually use what we have found has been really helpful is every warmer that we actually display, we get these little wooden dowel pieces from Michael's, Hobby Lobby, whatever. We write the prices on them and we put them in the dish of the warmer. And so if you're busy and somebody comes into the booth, a lot of times they want to sneak in because they want to see what they cost. And if they see that price, they know if they can afford it or not, or if it's something they want to purchase. If they see it, they know that they don't have to wait and ask the question if it's out of their price limit or what they're willing to pay. And so it helps you with the sales when you're actually busy.
Walmart.
We also have used paper tags.
Yeah, Walmart has a bag of 100 Scrabble tiles back in their craft thing that if you flip them over to the back and write on them, it was like $3.
Yep. So that's one of the things that we found that's been very successful. Network to find other events. As we were talking about events, when you're at those events, talk to the other vendors. Vendors know which ones they have tried that have been terrible, which ones they have done that are amazing. They will be able to tell you if there's a Scentsy consultant there. So get out there and talk to the other people at the events. We have found that IKEA bags are great for carrying products under the event table. They basically allow your products, your boxes to stand upright. You can see through them. And you can pull them out from under the table and see if you have that item with you. As Shane mentioned, we like to group them by price category and we put a little tag on them. So when it gets busy, if somebody wants a Nova or a Stargaze, we know they're $50. We can go to the $50 bag and pull it out and quickly look to see if we have it or not. And so we'll actually put a link for that there. Table risers allow for you to fit more things under the table, as well as it's closer to eye level. Closer to eye level, people have been known to buy more. It's just a fact from being at vendor events. So the closer to the eye level or higher up, the more likely they're going to be able to look at the product. And Shane is displaying one of those bags that we actually use, and that's been trial and error over the years of what works well at vendor events. Yeah. Use stamps for catalogs and brochures. So buy a stamp, it'll save you money along the way. Use stickers for branding your products. And again, like we talked about before, if you can put a picture on it, face recognition is a big thing and goes a long way. Know your product and what your customers are asking for. A lot of people will say, do you have this warmer? For example, Nova. Do you have Nova? Nope, I don't have Nova, but I do have Stargaze. Need to know what they're asking for. Know your products, know what they're like. If there's one scent, you're asking for French lavender. You can identify, French lavender as a floral. We don't have that one, but we have this. Do you have yeah, a lot of scents requests for manly scents. So, oh, you're out of mystery man? Oh, well, white amber antique may be something that you're interested in. Midnight mahogany, those type of things. If you know your products and what you have, you can always suggest something else. So don't feel that you have to have everything in the catalog. Another thing that we found is by highlighting the customer information on an order sheet, just simply the name, the phone number, the address, the email, and say, fill it out while you're packaging up what they're buying. We almost get a 90 95% where they will fill out all the information for contact for future reference for you. If you don't highlight and you say fill out the information, they're going to say, name, is that all you need? So gather their information so you can have a relationship with them. Yeah. Create an area for checking out your customers, because when it gets busy, when you're trying to check out at a corner of a table, it gets very difficult, likely to bump things, mix things up, and it's harder to get checked out quickly. And thank yous. Thank yous go a long way with both the event coordinator and customers. We always make it a point at the end of the event to, at least if we're not writing, in addition, a handwritten letter to the note to the customers or the vendor, we at least go back to the event coordinator and thank them for their time of putting the event together. Why? Because it's a lot of work. And if they decide to do something else, you may be their go-to Scentsy consultant that they want at the event. So make sure you thank the event coordinator. Okay.
I know you talked about pricing, bagging our warmers by price, but the other thing that we've done for some of the big events is we've bagged our display warmers in advance to help speed up setup, so that you're not digging through bags going, oh, maybe this one, we'll put out this one. So it does save some time if you have your display planned in advance, at least the warmers and such, and just bag them separately so you can just pull those out and set them up quickly.
Yeah. Events aren't always measured by sales. You go in for sales, but you will not know for the long time how successful that event is, because you may get orders well after the event from customers that attended that and grabbed your information. You may get recruits from that event. The business success is in the follow-up with your contacts. That sale that you make there is just a one-time thing. The relationship and the follow-up and that relationship you build with that new customer is where the success is. Like we said before, don't use family money on Scentsy, use Scentsy money on family, and practice good customer service. Be helpful. Be the person that you would want in a Scentsy consultant. Share your passion in the products and the business. It shows. If you like what you're doing, you're passionate about the products that you are sharing, people are more likely to be attracted to you and want to go to you, because we are in an attraction marketing business. And most of all, have fun. Do you guys have any questions in regards to events? Do any of you guys have anything to share? I know Rachel Puget, you just did a small event. If you're still on, if you have any tips to share. I know we went a little bit over, but I wanted to cover all those things.
I would say go in with like a focus. So mine is I want to get more experience with events. I want to I want to engage more with new customers. I want to get my name out there. I want to get my face out there, and I want to be consistent. So like, I know that in a couple weeks from now, I'm going to be at another event that's in a neighboring city. So who knows, maybe I'll see more people showing up and remembering my face. I would also say, I ran into some customers who are looking for specific scents. Okay, so I get to talk about Scentsy Club. Like, even if they don't walk away like buying something in that moment, I still planted a seed. And then, like Tammy said, your business is in the follow-up. So then I already know I gathered their information. I did like a ticket kind of, like a raffle where they had to enter in their name, their phone number, and their email address. And so that's all I need for my project broadcast. They're going to get a follow-up message this week, and then it just goes from there. And yeah, you will find people who say, oh, I have a Scentsy person, or oh, that, and that's totally fine. You're just giving them a fragrance experience at that point. Was it my best event? No, but it's a stepping stone in moving in the right direction so I can become more confident. That's how I have to look at it. But don't let anything hold you back, because I've been with Scentsy for 3 years. It took me 2 years to do events because I was literally scared. So, hold on to the support system you have here on Together We Scent. Ask questions. There's so much fun in doing them, and there's a lot to learn, but in the long end, it's going to be rewarding. I'm sorry that was long.
No, that's great, Rachel. Thank you for sharing, because it is. You need to get your name out there. And I like what you said, raffle ticket with the information. Your goal was to connect with those customers and to get that contact information that you can actually use for your project broadcast is great. what we shared tonight, events aren't for everybody, and we're not saying go out and do events. Everybody should do events. It is clearly your preference. We're just trying to share another way, what has worked with us to get our name out there. Nicole?
I just wanted to quickly say to piggyback off that, and I know you kind of mentioned it earlier, but I just want to like really hit this home. It is so important to get information for your customers that join you at your events. I spent far too many years of my business, and I care to admit, not obtaining their information because I didn't think about the big picture with following up and all the things that can come from it. I didn't know better. So I wasn't doing better. And so get as much information as you can from them and follow up with them. Just do it. You'll thank yourself later, but definitely get as much information as you can, even from people who don't buy. Find a way, if you have engaged with them in conversation, to get something from them or give them your card. Or what I've been doing that's working really well is asking them if they'd be interested in joining my VIP page on Facebook. And even if they're not buying from me right then and there, and then I'm texting it to them on the spot. So then I at least have their phone number in my phone. I've texted that to them. Whether they join or not is fine, but I at least have a way to follow up with them at some point and referencing back to that event. So just anyway, a little piece of advice, because I spent way too long not getting their information way back in the day.
Yeah. And so I would say, if you ask me why I do events, kind of like Nicole said, like I said in the beginning, events for us were a way to expand into a different customer client base. Every time we moved, it was a way for us quickly to get new customers, because we had to move quite a few times while I was in the military. And that's how we established when we got to a new area. And so the goal of this training tonight was, like Nicole said, like Rachel said, don't be afraid to try it. Don't feel that you need to have a big display. You literally have enough to start with your kit, and you can expand from there. If you have any questions, if you have any idea, need any ideas, I seen in here, somebody was asking about only having one 8-foot long table, how you recommend I set up. Who is that on the iPhone? Do you know? No. I guess the way that I would say is, determine what you're actually going to bring. I would leave a corner where you could actually, gather information or talk to somebody, whether it's the raffle like Rachel talked about, or a spreadsheet to gain, information. You want to get some contact information, share your catalogs, brochures, whatever you're able to share. And then depending on if you have product or you don't, if you can go higher, it saves space instead of always just being on one level. So if you can add some variation of height, do that. And you can literally, if you have multiple bars and you want to display them, I would put one out, or maybe just use your testers and put all of your bars underneath the table. And as they request one, you can pull it out from there. We'll save a little bit more space. But whoever it is, if you reach out to me, we can brainstorm about a way for you to set up your table based upon the products and what you actually have.
It was me. Sorry about that. This is my first group Zoom. I've always tried to attend, but with four kiddos and one being 2, it's kind of hard to get that on top of a full-time job. So I appreciate you answering that question. I came in the meeting a little bit late.
Who is me?
Irene. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know if you guys, I've never done the Zoom before. There's 3 pages in front of me, so I don't know.
That's fine. You just show up as iPhone Irene, and we just wanted to make sure if I needed to follow up who you were. If you need any additional information, we'd be more than happy to help you determine how to set it up based upon what you have and going into the event to make it worthwhile for you.
Thank you so much.
Yep, I'm on the Together We Scent page, and as well as many of the other people that are on here, we're willing to help you out. So
thank you so much.
Can I say one more thing just to kind of piggyback off of something that you did say? Tammy, well, okay, so a couple things. connecting with other vendors is other vendors is huge. It's a great networking tool. At the event I was just at this past weekend, she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're a Scentsy consultant?" She's like, "I was at an event last month and they were literally looking for a Scentsy girl and they couldn't find anyone." Can you believe, like, literally I couldn't find anyone. And so for all these people who think, "Oh my gosh, everyone has a Scentsy person," she was literally at a very local city to many of us here in Michigan, and they couldn't find a Scentsy person. So instantly, I already got contact for that coordinator, so I can be on her list for when she does an event next year. And then another thing I was gonna say was doing something that held me back, like I said, fear, but don't feel like, I know I see some of these pictures and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, my setup looks nothing like that." Your setup's going to be different depending on the event. It's going to be different whether you go inside or outside. But like Tammy said so many times, all you need are testers, and you have the potential to do just as well as what, somebody who shows up with hundreds and hundreds of inventory worth of things. So don't let that hold you back, because I would look at so many pictures and I'd be like, "Oh, there's no way I can do that." But then I can do a setup, and I can do a setup and it can look okay, it can look kind of like that. So don't feel like if you can't do the huge, thing, like she showed the pictures. I'm so glad Tammy showed those pictures of like Debbie Pitts Palmer and like all of that stuff, because you can be just as successful with or without hundreds of dollars worth of inventory. So I just kind of wanted to say that I'm living proof of what Tammy is talking about. Like, it's so true.
Yeah. And the last thing that I wanted to add before we go to Rand to do a drawing is when you call around and ask for events and they say I already have a Scentsy consultant, I have found this statement to be very helpful. "Well, thank you so much for getting back with me. Could you keep my name on file in case you have a cancellation or you need a Scentsy consultant in the future?" I have gotten callbacks by doing that. And so do not think that because, all events have Scentsy. Like Rachel said, like I have said, there are plenty of events out there for us if you look. And when you do call somebody and they say they have somebody, tell them, "Can you take my information?" And Tina has too, in case your vendor, your Scentsy consultant cancels out or you have future vendor events and you need somebody. So, but thank you guys. I hope this was helpful. Rand, are you ready to do our drawing?
I am. All right, here we go. And for anybody who's new, this is just, we do a drawing